Thank you very much, Justin. It's great to be here this morning. I'm fourth batter up following our great television evangelist, Kim Portrait. Can I say, how good was Kim? I mean, standing up here for 20 minutes with no notes, just reading off those drawings was pretty amazing. So well done, Kim. She kind of terrified me last night when she told me she had 0 notes. So Kim's exactly like the programming that we all carry in the wee small hours of the morning. She's a preacher. She's very passionate about her cause, although I note that she hasn't quite managed to get you all up dancing in the aisles just yet. So look, today I wanted to talk a little bit about 10, but I really wanted to talk about the broader television sector and what we all have to do to flourish in what are unprecedented times of change. We're all living in a new era for television, with change happening right in front of us, and this is especially true for us, given the recent events. We're of course now part of the CBS Corporation and a quantum leap from where we were 18 months ago, but one we are very, very happy with. CBS's new role in Australian media, we believe, is not only a good thing for us, but also genuinely believe that it is a good thing for media in this country. The past 18 months has seen significant change. Some of it has happened to us, but most of the change has been the start of a deliberate long-term plan. A new strategy, a new brand, an unprecedented investment in technology, data and content. A refresh, rebrand, re-anything must always begin with a clear and open understanding of where you stand, what your customers love about you, what they may not love about you, and above all else, what sets you apart. The good news for us is that our viewers know we are very different to our competitors. A good thing in our industry, we have very different networks, delivering very different content, and more importantly, delivering record levels of that content. The opportunity for us over the past year has been to ensure this difference was articulated, that a younger, irreverent and authentic tone was reflected in our programming, championed by our staff, embedded in every aspect of our business, from creating promos to how we manage an unexpected change in our channel name. We are definitely bold, not bossy. Our look and feel has changed, unifying and expanding our portfolio of touch points, making our brands more distinctive, giving them stronger cut-through in a hyper-competitive media sector to ensure greater consistency, a family of new brands. Our last rebrand was 27 years ago. Bob Hawke was the Prime Minister back then, and Bryan Adams was #1 in the charts with Everything I Do It For You. It was clearly time. For 10, this new era has forced a change in strategy. Some of it back to the future with the under 50 audience, but what we have demonstrated so far is the value of alternative programming and validated what many believed was our biggest challenge over summer. We also know that changing tack takes time. We appreciate that in this business, not all things work, all work immediately to the extent that we would like them to. But our plan is a long-term one, and one that has the blessing of our new owners, and that is a massive, massive benefit. So whilst 10 has undergone some radical changes over the past year, television as an industry is going through significant change of its own. As Kim has outlined, this is a really exciting time in television. And let's set the record straight. When I say TV, I'm talking about new TV. It's not the same as old TV, it's much, much better. New TV is all about bringing the best content to the audiences in the way that they want it. It's finding new ways to engage on all screens and beyond the screen. It's continuing the conversation well beyond the broadcast. Lisa Wilkinson's Keeping Women Safe segment on The Project, following the tragic murder of Eurydice Dixon last year, reached 8.1 million people, received 5.6 million views with 628,000 reactions, comments and shares. This is a fundamental shift in how people engage and view our content and how our industry has the power to generate these audiences. The Honey Badger's use of Tim Tams to describe the Bachelor selection process, which reached 4.6 million people on Facebook alone, is another great example of what each of our networks can do to light up media and social media in such positive ways. Clever ideas between broadcasters and advertisers for brand integration can be so very powerful when we get it right. And it's one of the reasons why 10 needed to adapt, to reflect that change and reshape our business accordingly, with a clear focus on how we could improve the experience for viewers and increase the opportunity for our clients and agency partners. We're investing in more entry points into the 10 ecosystem, and we're investing in making sure they have a good time when they're in it. We've launched 10 All Access in December last year, a plan to reach cordless audiences and view our content in a different way. Very soon we launched 10 Speaks, an audio business that includes podcasting, another product to engage the cordless audience and bring them into the 10 ecosystem. All of this supports 10 Daily, our news, current affairs, lifestyle site, along with 10 Play, our BVOD platform. Both of these are showing significant growth, just as you see across the platforms at both 7 and 9. As Kim discussed, BVOD is growing dramatically, and our investment in this area is critical to ensure that we reflect the change in audience habits and advertising opportunities. Now, all this activity is great, but it's only valuable as our ability to monetize it. Proving its effectiveness for advertising it and monetizing it so that we can continue to reinvest in even more content and platform innovation. Data is at the heart of both our sales and viewer propositions in this brave new world. Member gating powers a more positive user experience, and we now know what people are watching and when. We know what they move on to and the interests they share, providing clients with segments rather than demos, enabling us to deliver targeted solutions for advertisers and personalised experiences for consumers. But no matter what data strategy you have, you must invest in content to attract that audience. Television in this country is making more local content than ever before. In our case, with 35 primetime local productions this year alone. We're particularly proud of the success of our own pilot week, showing we are willing to think differently with a truly innovative way to engage viewers and involve them in deciding which shows go to air. As broadcasters, we need to be brave with our programming for it to pay dividends. Despite what Sydney Confidential may say, we were thrilled with this year's season of I'm a Celebrity, growing its audience year on year. Our friends at the other networks also continue to prove that free-to-air can generate huge audiences on linear broadcast alone, let alone online. What we sometimes forget is that when all three free-to-airs in particular have large franchise programming scheduled, the total audience watching lifts significantly, and everyone benefits with more eyeballs in the ecosystem. Whilst fierce competitors, the competition for eyeballs is not just with each other. The decline in linear TV viewing also continues to be overstated using outdated overnight audience figures. It's like measuring the retail industry by counting the footfall in stores. Consumers are going to shop the way that they want to, when they want to. As Kim laid out earlier, we're not really seeing the whole picture just yet. This year, we will see for the first time the real size of the audience with total TV ratings and VOZ. Yes, there is some drop in casual viewing. People don't watch a second repeat of NCIS like they used to, but prime viewing, big noisy event television is going strong. Fragmentation of our audience's viewing habits is sometimes framed as a bad thing. On the contrary, this is making television stronger by propelling our content across more screens and channels. This fragmentation allows us, if we're clever, to grow and evolve our presence beyond the linear broadcast, turning the viewer experience into a virtual water cooler as the conversation and interaction with formats continue well beyond the time slot. This means much deeper engagement that we could have ever achieved in the past. Major franchises such as MasterChef, Married at First Sight, and MKR are brilliant examples. You can see the ripple effect, the blast radius of engagement, a deep dive into the formats, their hosts, characters, backstories, and additional content. Television is healthier and stronger and more culturally significant than ever before. But It is also more vital than ever to be the pillar of any media mix. Let me put on my old hat as a CFO. Let me talk to those in procurement, those who sign off on marketing budgets, who allocate funds, and have a clinical view of media spend. TV delivers the greatest return on investment of any medium. Full stop, this is indisputable. As Byron Sharp reminds us that there is a difference between campaign ROI and company return. I really want to stress this point because ROI gets thrown around way too much without a clear link to the most important metric, sales. We see this in micro-targeting, which, as Byron Sharp says, can boast of a high ROI, largely because they are small, reaching people who had a high likelihood of buying anyway. Major brands globally and locally have learnt lessons from not getting the media mix right, and this shift back to big reach and accountable mediums has curbed that wastage. What's more, it's provided a safe environment and avoided the opportunity cost of not spending where sales are. Respected studies are finally revealing what contributes to the success of television advertising. Careful consideration must be given to the outstanding work by Professor Karen Nelson-Field, the Benchmark series, the Ubiquity Payback study, and the work of Ehrenberg Bass, which brings science and hard numbers to marketing. This is not about TV criticising other mediums. The more roads that you drive into your consumer's mind, the bigger your presence is going to be there. But television must always be that lead medium. The reasons why ROI is significantly stronger are many, but here are 3 reasons that must be considered before any dollar is spent on media. 100% screen size. Professor Karen Nelson-Field proves that the size of the ad on screen is critical to the overall effectiveness. When an ad is 100% visible, it equates to over 2 times the sales impact of other platforms. An emotionally primed audience. Emotion is critical when increasing the effectiveness of advertising and brand building. In fact, ads which generate a high emotional response have a 2.4 times greater sales impact than ads which elicit a low emotional response. Psychologists have shown that more emotionally primed audience is more receptive to brands. And brands can be far more emotive through television, both in advertising that they create and the emotionally charged and brand-safe environments open for integration. Cultural imprinting. I've talked a little bit about the cultural impact of television, but there is a growing consensus around the idea that advertising works best on changing the landscape of cultural meaning rather than trying to change one individual's mind, which in turn changes how we are perceived by others when we use that product. Put it this way, it matters that you know with quite some confidence that others have seen the same ad as you. A brand we choose says something about us. And getting the social validation of our brand choices that we all seek consciously or otherwise relies on common knowledge. And common knowledge is best created by mass-scale media. TV is the master of this and will continue to be that way. This kind of cultural scale is critical for brands and clearly shows that eyeballs are not all the same. How we see messaging and on what scale has a clear effect on the salience of the brand. This is why brands that integrate, that invest in sponsorships, are winning against their competitors. We know of major brands that did not invest as much in sponsorship are now returning. They've seen the loss of sales and market share because of this. We also see the success of brands that build long-term partnerships. Take MasterChef and Coles, a 10-year partnership that continues to evolve, finding new ways each season to strengthen that association and create mutual benefit. So at 10, we're thrilled now to be part of a global television corporation, and whilst our industry has challenges, and frankly, it is always going to have challenges, what we do know is that premium Australian content, including news and sport, remains at the heart of television and is the lion's share of video viewing in this country. To finish, I'd like to remind you of 4 things. New TV is better than old TV. TV is adapting to viewer behaviour by distributing premium, brand-safe content in new ways that will make buying easier, make advertising work harder, and strengthen our dominance as the best return on investment. Science, not opinion, must shape media spends to deliver the best outcomes for clients with no bias or agenda, where the mix of media is based on fact and not fashion. Television has a united passion in this country for entertaining Australians, for creating brand-safe platforms that are not shackled by one screen, but set free to be enjoyed in ways that our viewers want. And lastly, we believe TN now has a clear role to play in this new era, focused squarely on the under-50s and supported by a reinvigorated brand, content strategy and ecosystem. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. You can just stay there for 2 seconds. Bold and not bossy, eh? I like that. I'm going to leave it to the locals.
Not many people picked it up.
Yeah, well,
well, they're being polite.
Yeah. So who would like to ask bold and not bossy a question here from the local? I'll leave it to the local market since...
I can see Nicola Lewis there.
Yeah. Anyone like to ask a question? John? So do you have a microphone there? Thanks.
Thank you. Hello, it's John from VideoNet. If we assume that everyone, gets that TV works, is there anything that's still holding you back from getting budget or from preventing any budget shifting away to digital? Is there something that you need to fix?
In terms of?
Well, is there, are you being told by clients or agencies that there's any particular thing that's stopping them spending more with TV?
No, look, I think, I think I flip it around the other way and, everything that Kim talked about this morning, it's up to us actually to prove that television is as good as what the studies and, the empirical evidence that we've served up does. So I think it's, it's not so much, things that we need to do, it's about us continuing to promote ourselves and actually prove that it works.
So the only real issue is trying to prove or convince people that it's effective and they should, follow these figures. There's no other sort of practical issues, not about how easy it is to buy or trade or...
Oh, look, I think there's always going to be those sort of issues, and one of the things that we do is need to make ourselves easier to buy, and there's a lot of work going on that front. I think that's something that we've been a little bit late to the party to. So there's a combination of all those things: being able to trade easier, prove that what we do works, and probably the hardest thing is just continue making great content.
Okay. Anyone else? One thing I'm going to ask you: what was you said? There's lots of changes since the acquisition. What was sort of the biggest change since they came into TEN?
CBS.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I think stability, and I talked about sort of long term. We're very fortunate now that we are out of that public company environment. So that gives you an awful lot of time back in your business actually to concentrate on what you're doing for the future. So we've had 12 months. We've got an owner now they're a broadcaster. They make TV. They do exactly the same thing as we do. They're very supportive. They agree with what we're doing. They understand the Australian market intimately as well. There's been lots of commentary around we're a whole bunch of Americans going to come down here and run the network. And
are they doing that? Are they backstreet driving?
Where are we going to? It's great to read that every day in the paper about yourself. So, so look, it's about stability and actually just having the ability to have a longer term focus, which this industry needs. I think in a public company especially, you end up being very short term and from a financial perspective. So the combination of being out of that and just thinking longer term is the biggest benefit for us.
And not being infested by a bunch of Americans. Let's give Paul here a big hand for his keynote. It's great. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, mate.
Appreciate that.